back to my channel. So today we're going to go over a couple of top questions, music therapy related questions. So this video was inspired by, I have the name here, Roboto MT. This place is based on the West Coast, and you all know that I live on the East Coast, and I don't know if you've heard, but people here are not very nice, myself included. I am savage. So go check out Roboto Music Therapy. They were the ones who kind of inspired me to do this video. The person on there seems very nice, and I'm over here like Miss Savage, but that's a story for another day. So we're going to dive into some of these questions. So the first question is, what is music therapy? And I'm going to give my little elevator speech. Music therapy is using music for non-musical goals. That's it. Right? I mean, like, acquired brain injury, my favorite population, I use music to enhance social and communication goals. So there you go. I was using music for non-musical goals. There you go. That's it. That's it. That's all I say to people. And they either get it on the spot or they don't get it. And if they don't get it, then I really don't care, because they'll get it eventually. That's usually what ends up happening. They don't understand when I say music is used for non-musical goals. A lot of times people are just like, what? And then I walk away because the elevator doors open. See what I'm talking about? I am very savage. Okay, next question. Why did you want to be a music therapist? I don't know. No. Okay, why did I want to be a music therapist? Well, I really like the idea of using music for treatment. When I was like 18, 17-ish, I obviously got my bachelor's degree in music therapy. So like when I was like in high school, I really liked the idea of creative arts therapy and holistic healing. And that's like really what I wanted my focus to be around. Now I'm more medical and research based, but that's like a story for another day. But like at the time I was really into holistic healing, and holistic healing was like a big thing. Also, it was a big marketing tactic that a lot of hospice centers, palliative care facilities, they like focus on holistic healing, and they preferred creative arts therapists over like other types of therapists to some degree. A lot of times people were trying to use methods of treatment that did not involve medication. And then we also know that like people were doing the whole reusable bags, reusable water bottles thing. I'm not really that old, but the point that I'm trying to make is that people were starting to think about the environment. They were starting to think about more practical means of treatment, less invasive, more emotional, more holistic, more humanistic, and I was really all about it. I mean, I still am. I still take a very like holistic approach to healthcare. I still do. It's just that I like using other disciplines in addition to music. Like I like using a medical approach to music therapy. But when I started, I originally wanted to work with kids, and I wanted to work with children with autism, as most music therapists, and that's why I guess I went into music therapy. Of course I was interested in psychology. Of course I was a good musician, so I met the criteria as well. I never got to shadow a music therapist, which we'll get to in another question. Here we go. Next question. What does music therapy look like? So check out my music therapy day in the life, because I do go through the schedule. Unfortunately, I can't bring the camera into work. I have a couple of sessions that I did record, but they are at my job's computer, and you can't publish them. I think that tends to like happen a lot. So that being said, when I advocate for you, if you're interested in music therapy, to definitely like invest time and like shadow. That's what I currently do because I do want to become a physician. So I shadow everyone, and I ask them all the questions, and I sort of lead the shadowing session because like if I want to be a physician, it's an investment. And music therapy, in addition to every other major, is the same exact way. Like, if you want to be a music therapist, like, you need to make sure that this investment is for you because it's a lot of money. Like, you have to take all these lessons, you have to do all this clinical training, which again we'll get to. But you need to make sure that this investment is good for you and good for your needs. So shadow if you can. If you can't shadow, which I couldn't shadow because I didn't have a cell phone or internet or a computer when I was in high school. A lot of people are like, oh, well, it's okay. iPhones recently became a thing. But, like, I'm not that old. Like, smartphones, iPhones, computers, Wi-Fi, it all was a thing when I was in high school. My parents just didn't believe in it. So I often read about music therapy. I went to the library and I got all those clinical books and I read about it, and I read about all the interventions that you could possibly do as a music therapist. And of course, I paid most attention to the didactic music therapy book. But generally speaking, for me, it often was like, you came in, you kind of got your caseload, you got your notes together, you did a general meeting, and then you went into the session, and then the sessions I did, because of my population, they went like that. So it was like a hello, or not a hello song, opening song, because I didn't work with kids. I don't work with kids. Opening song, then something a little bit more higher energy, like movement. And then we would do an activity that was more musical, singing out loud, playing instruments sometimes. Then we would go down to like more of a relaxing, passive music session, and then we would do a closing. Sometimes I would throw improvisation in the middle here, and all kind of depended, but the session often went like this, just because of my population. Every population is a little bit different. So what kind of people do you work with? Good question. My favorite population is acquired brain injury. I love acquired brain injury, and I fell in love with acquired brain injury because these individuals were older, right? They're maybe like 50 years old, but they acquired their brain injury when they were like 18 to 21. And me, as a young professional, you know, I'm 21, like, entering into the session, you know. Oh, like, like, they would talk about how they would ride. You know, they'd, like, sit and ride in the back of, like, a truck and, like, watch the fireworks and drink and, like, have a good time. And, like, and then they'd date all around, and then they'd, like, drink, and they'd do reckless behavior, and then they ended up getting their injury from the reckless behavior. But everything that they were talking about, like, I was in it. Like, you know, I was doing the same, not necessarily, like, partying, because, like, this was a really hard major, so I didn't really party, but it was like, yeah, like, you know, I'll totally get a Jeep and, like, ride without a seatbelt, like, on the beach, because I'm 21 years old and I'm immune. Which isn't necessarily true. But, like, you know, I could totally relate to where they were coming from. And I felt like we got a really great bond going. We were able to develop that therapist-patient rapport. Obviously, I was like, we're not the same age. We're not colleagues. We're not friends. Like, you're the client and I'm the therapist. But the point is that I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you still smoke cigarettes even though you were diagnosed with lung cancer. I understand why you drink to oblivion, or why you got in that accident because you didn't wear your seatbelt. So, and there was no judgment, because like I was sort of in that age and I saw what was going on, and some things I did and some things I saw other people, like my peers, do. So I think the main point is that I could connect with acquired brain injury and I could relate, and I didn't judge. because everything was going on already. And then plus two, the clients all thought that they were 21 or 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever age they were when they had their accident. They still thought that they were that age. So then seeing me, seeing a young person that was in that age, they felt like I, was more approachable than a therapist who was 40 years old and looked 40 years old, if that makes sense. But that was my favorite population, but you can work with any population, really. Go through the standards of clinical practice. Check out my other video. It goes through all the different populations you could work with and then some. Next one is, how do you become a music therapist? Well, first of all, invest. Make sure that you check it out and make sure it's the right decision for you. That's like number one. Number two, so here's the thing, is that there's not many schools in the United States that offer music therapy at an undergraduate level. There also aren't many universities that offer music therapy at a graduate level. But if you're going to make this investment, you need to go to school at a university that has an established music therapy program. So obviously I live here on the East Coast, and there's plenty of universities in New York State. There's a decent amount of universities in Pennsylvania. I think there's maybe one or two in New Jersey. And then, then there's a couple, I don't really think there's any one in Delaware or Maryland. Maybe I'm thinking of Virginia. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there really aren't that many. University of Miami has a really good music therapy program. But here's the thing is, college is a business, okay? So if you want to be a music therapist, you need to go to a college that is accredited by the AMTA. They do offer, they have a really good music school. They're a great university. They're an affordable university. And again, the music therapy department is an AMTA. I remember, because I went to Immaculata University, which is in Pennsylvania. It's in Malvern, Pennsylvania, and it was really close to Westchester University, which was in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And Westchester always advertised music therapy, but it ended up being a music degree, and you took therapy classes, and you sort of ended up doing all the same amount of work. But because the university wasn't accredited by the AMTA, they couldn't offer you a direct music therapy degree. So you need to watch out for schools like that, because that's only going to screw you over in the future. So that goes for grad school and undergrad, and that really goes for any major too, because like I said, college is a business, and they don't really care as long as they get your money. That's the way it is. So you have to make sure that you're choosing a school that is accredited by the AMTA for your undergrad or your graduate level courses. In undergrad, because I have my undergrad in music therapy, it's pretty darn intense, and it sucked because you have to do all the liberal arts courses and the music courses and the music therapy courses. It was horrible. But the point is, it's great because now I'm going off to be a physician. So throw all the clinical training at me, throw all the courses at me, because I already did it in undergrad. Just saying. We are wonderful. We are a wonderful profession. Just throwing it out there. So how do you become a music therapist? First you have to go to school, and it takes about 5 years, because then you do all the classes. I had to do 128 credits. Then you have to do 1,200 clinical hours. I did 2,000, just to let y'all know. And then you take your board certification, which I have videos on how to help you study, because I didn't have any help. Moving forward, what's the difference between a musician, a music therapist, and a music teacher? See what I'm talking about? I'm very savage. When normal people ask me this question, I get very offended. I look at them for 15 seconds, make them feel very uncomfortable, and then I usually walk away, because I don't tolerate people very well. No, this is why. Okay, let me just back up for a second. I work in a medical facility as a music therapist, And it's wonderful because when you're working in a hospital or a medical practice, you are working with the best of the best. So nurses, doctors, and even administrative staff, they're like the best of the best. So they don't come up with you and ask like stupid questions. But then when you're out in the street and like you run into somebody at the gym and they ask, like they'll ask me a question, what's the difference between a music teacher and a music therapist? And I look at them like they have 5 heads because I'm not used to people asking me stupid questions because I work with the elite of the elite. So that's why I don't really have that much tolerance. But I'll answer this question, and I'm going to answer it once, and that's the end of that. If a client asks me this question, I will answer it. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. But normal people, working as a music therapist has given me less patience for cognitively normal functioning individuals, okay? So a musician obviously provides music for entertainment. A music teacher teaches music through music. And then what did we just say? Music therapist is using music for non-musical goals. So music is used in all 3 of these disciplines, but the goal area is different. A musician, the goal is for entertainment purposes, right? For a music teacher, using music is for a musical goal, an educational musical goal, if we want to be particular. And then music therapy, it's using music for a non-musical, sometimes therapeutic, usually therapeutic goal. And that's the way it is. I did want to discuss, before I end this video, I did want to discuss the 4 approaches to music therapy. Recreative, which is more active music. Receptive, which is more music listening. Improvisation, which is using music for expression and collaboration. And then composition, which is writing. I did a whole video on this because I am not afraid to share my insecurities, but I do not like improv. I do not like composition. So I usually use recreative for the most part. That's what my clients prefer in acquired brain injury. They do not like listening to music. They do not like songwriting, and they often get very, very uncomfortable improving because, and the reason why is because, like, as a musician, they see me as a professional musician and they get very, very uncomfortable playing music in front of me. I broke many boundaries and developed many relationships with my clients, but they still get very intimidated, and I think that that's something that should be mentioned. If you're having issues relating to clients, receptive music listening, that's usually the best place to start, and then you can go into recreative or playing music, active music sessions. But keep in mind that it does depend on the population, it does depend on the age, it does depend on the client's preferences. I mean, I'm sure somewhere in the world there are people with acquired brain injury who love improv, but my clients aren't one of them. So that's what we're gonna leave it off. It is music therapy is very, very rewarding, and one of my favorite parts is because everybody looks at me as like the popular, cool therapist. So I always like walk into the building and people are like, hey, what's up? Oh my God, hey, you're so cool. Oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, what are we going to be playing today? You know, and it's, I don't know, I love that. And sometimes when we play certain music, like from the Beatles, or the Beach Boys, because that's what my clients prefer, they like start clapping and they stand. Some of them who aren't in wheelchairs, they'll stand up and they'll scream, encore, encore. And it's just so cute and it's so heartwarming. And some of the things they say is just so darn, it's so rewarding because you know that they actually mean it if they give you a compliment. It's really sweet. Sometimes they say really savage things and it's just plain old funny because they don't really know what they're saying. Yeah, but it's a very, very rewarding profession. And yeah, I recommend checking it out, of course, right? You should all check out music therapy. It's the best. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.